All right, it's finally done. Took a long time, had to wait on cores, had to wait on parts and all these type of things and weather and so forth and so on, but it's finally done. I think it turned out pretty good. It's pretty.
It's beautiful. It's like a jewel.
Yeah, I mean, I like it. I did the pan in red to match the engine.
I'm afraid to even put this in the car. I just want to leave it the way it is.
I like it like that.
Yeah.
I even wanted to clean this little oil spot off I got on it during assembly, and you really have to have a pretty transmission before you care about stuff like that. But I'm going to recap what all we did here, and so you guys will know, because all the magic on the transmission's on the inside, so there's nothing to see on the outside much. But this is a 73 model 904, and Tony literally pulled this out of a leaf pile on his back lot. If you see noodling or stump fishing for catfish, it was just like that except with a transmission.
I keep Torqueflites like most people keep mushrooms.
Yeah,
yeah. Just moved it there out of the way.
Yeah, it was just hidden. He pulled it right out of a leaf pile, and the way you guys saw it, the Thanksgiving video, is exactly the way I got it. And then this, of course, is after. We weighed it because we wanted to know what the weight difference is converting the Plan Z Dart over from a 903 to 3-speed. Was it that?
It was a 903
3-speed. We wanted to know what the weight would take. What the difference would be converted to a 3-speed automatic. So this transmission without converter is 98 pounds.
Well, hey, wait, you know what? Pop that thing off here.
Yeah.
And look what I got right here.
Yeah, okay. Let's wait.
Here's the trains that came out. It's got a shifter on it too. Okay, so this one's 80 pounds minus figure 5 pounds for the shifter, so it's 75 pounds. But clutch. And flywheel. That's 40 pounds right there. So 120 pounds combined. What do you think of the weight of the converter?
This is 98, and converter's probably 40 pounds.
It's about a wash.
It's pretty close.
It's about even.
It's closer than I thought. I thought this would be significantly heavier.
Yeah. Well, remember too, I was taking the clutch pedal and the linkage out of the car too, so that's like another 7 pounds.
Right.
So it's going to be about even.
Yeah. Closer than I thought. You like the red pump? No one will ever see it, but you'll know it's there.
It's like jewelry. It makes it nice to work on. The red pump and the gold seal.
While we're at the pump, this is actually a lockup pump. I converted to non-lockup. I was going to reuse the pump that came out of it, and it would have been fine, but I opened it up and said, nah, this one looked a whole lot better inside. So we took out a check ball to make this a non-lockup pump. I'll try to insert pictures of these that I've taken as we did the work. Going through here from front to back, we wanted to keep the lighter drum, so it's a 3-clutch drum. I had the students at Giles County High School, big shout out to those guys. They machined the front drum and widened the groove by 70 thousandths so that we can get a proper clearance. We have, I believe, an 80 thousandths clearance on the front drum with 4 clutches now. In the forward drum, we kept it 3 clutches because even with thin clutches and a thinner snap ring, that's what it took to get the clearance right. I'm going to show you guys a little trick for getting that lip seal on the piston down in there. If you put the lip seal on, there's not much clearance, and the seal has to ramp toward the outside because there's pressure coming from the back of this piston. If you press it down, it feels like it's all the way down. But when you go to put the spring in it, you'll never get it in that groove. Piston's not seated. So what I do is I use a thin feeler gauge down in here. And what that'll do is it helps me get the seal all the way around. It'll get the piston to seat just like that. And now you can get the snapper in. And so one of those that I took down, the pressure plate was really hot. It was starting to blue, and it's because it didn't have enough clearance. So this one won't suffer that problem. Moving back through here, we used, of course, the low first and second gear set from the A500. That was the one place I hated to add weight to this. The steel planetary is 4 pinion. It's 2 pounds, I believe it's 2 pounds and 14 ounces. That's how much we had to pick up in weight. That's a lot of rotate. It's almost all rotating weight except for the second carrier, but it's going to really, it's going to make this car feel like it has a 456 gear instead of a 410.
That's one of the problems, because we've got a 7.25 in this, and they don't make anything deeper tan a 410 gear. Because ideally, I'd like 456s or 488s in here. Yeah, even though the motor's not going to rev that high, it's still just a matter of the mid-range. Even if it just kind of like coasts through the last 200 feet, it's fine. You know, it's just as long as we're getting the thing moving.
Getting it moving.
Right.
This car had a cast iron band for second gear, and it was in good shape, so we stayed with that. On the rear band, I elected to keep the narrow band. I figure for this lightweight car, it's all it needs. Inside in the valve body, I used the remains of some B&M trans packs, and I have the recipe, so even if I don't have a whole trans pack to start from scratch, I can still replicate all of the steps because I kept the original circa 1993 instructions on the first one I ever did. So among the things we do, we have to drill out a passage in the valve body. We put a 3-inch blocker rod on the accumulator piston to the spring out. Lots of mods in that valve body to make this thing shift hard. So wear a mouthpiece when this thing upshifts. Speaking of upshift, the governor. The governor is lightened up by about 25%. I've got some scale weight numbers in grams. And it makes a big difference. So it's going to send a signal this to shift. We estimate a shift somewhere in the low to mid 5,000 range. So somewhere between about 52, 55, 5600, somewhere in there is when it should shift. And then in the valve body, change to 1-2 shift spring so that hopefully it will bring that up to match. And that has to be tailored, so you can't just stick it in the car and go, we got to see what it wants. So after the first few passes, we'll know if that needs to be adjusted. And speaking of adjustment, this car is not going to use a throttle pressure lever connected to the carburetor. This one, I put a bushing in here and a heim joint that I scavenged. Those things for handicapped people that can't use their feet to drive, there's this big linkage thing in the car, and I scavenged this off of that.
That's important. You should point out to people, this is for drag racing.
Yes, you don't want to do this on your street car. Unless you want to shift 6,000 pulling out of the drive-through everywhere you go. But this has the throttle pressure pulled all the way back. And if we want to lower the shift point, loosen up that nut, let this forward, and we can adjust the shift points that way. This is a jumper that connects the transmission cooler lines. We're going to try to run this car without a cooler. It may work, it may not. We're going to monitor the fluid temperature, and if it needs cooler, it needs cooler. But that was the purpose of putting a pan that holds 3 extra quarts. Speaking of pan, again, guys at Giles County High School made me a nice 1-inch billet aluminum spacer. The pan is 1 1/8 extra on depth. The spacer is 1 inch. That gets the filter just barely off the bottom of the pan a little bit more, but it keeps it submerged. I'm hoping that fluid capacity to dissipate heat will be enough. Back here. So I had come up with this idea. I gutted a speedometer pinion housing and put a set screw in it, which works. Tony, of course, had an even lighter idea. He measured it out for freeze plug. That's what I should have done. I don't know why I didn't think of that, but
it's anyway, 1 3/4 if anybody wants it.
1 3/4. What we definitely, well, you don't want to leak, and you also don't need to have a speedometer pinion along for the ride. In a car with no speedometer, you don't need that dragging around. So we did that. I think that's all the high spots. If there's anything else, I might post it and pin a comment, but I think it turned out really good. And I'm gonna insert pictures in this of just individual things we did. I was in building mode, so when I put the sub-assemblies back in this, I didn't stop and set up a tripod and all that, but I still want you guys to see the final product and tell you how it turned out.
You're like me. When you're working, get the camera away from me. I don't want it, yeah.
I didn't need to be like seating each of those clutches on camera and trying to talk to you guys at the same time. But I'm going to include all the still pictures. But I wanted to do one more wrap-up video, show you how it turned out, and I can't wait to see what it does in the car.
Well, the next step now is Shane Polito over at TCI is doing a converter for us, and he races Slane 6 cars himself. In fact, there's going to be a Slane 6 race series that TCI is backing with the AHRA, and we'll have like dates and everything announced for that in a couple of weeks. So they're doing a converter for this based on everything he knows about slants and their power characteristics and what I told him I expect that thing to do. And so basically it's a converter that should freewheel to around 4,000 RPM and then come on, because the motor's gonna have a very super tight power range. You're talking about something that's going to make power from like 3,800, 4,000 RPM to around 5,500, and that's it. So everything has to kind of work together with that. And that's why that low gear set is so important in that thing.
Yeah. If he was able to run the low gear set in the rear end, like a 488 513,
yeah,
no question, I would have used the aluminum. They would live in that car all day long. I think people forgot the Hemi automatics were aluminum carrier.
That's right.
And they live, they work, but that's why I went to steel, not for strength. But this is going to be a good combination, and I think that's it. I think we got covered. Oh, and I'm giving Tony a warranty on this too.
Ooh.
I'm challenged him to break it. If he can break it, I'll fix it so he can.
Well, that's Uncle Crystal's job. She's the one who's going to be lead footing this thing.
I want them to try to break it, because you can't learn where the weak spots are if you don't have people trying to break your stuff.
The question is, does that thing have enough suds to break it?
Then we can work on that too. Thank you, guys.
See you later. Or see you tomorrow. When do you end your videos? I say see you tomorrow. Not that I'm actually going to see them tomorrow, but it sounds good.
I end them usually by trying to not trip over the tripod, turn the camera off. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you watching the series.
Sure.
So while I was over here shooting that video with the transmission with Tony, Ralph shows up, and we get to see his collection. You remember Ralph, Roadrunner Ralph? So
that guy.
Yeah, tell us what you're working on here real quick.
71 Dodge Charger, matching numbers, AC car. I don't know how many they make, but everything is going to be either rebuilt or brand new when I'm done with it, and that is the future Roadrunner.
So what happened with your Roadrunner? Because they're going to want to know.
It's still there.
He wants to go faster.
I want to go faster. I want to go with a lighter car. And I'm still debating, do I make my car lighter or do I buy something already done lighter?
You going to put a blower on it?
Oh, always. All
right.
If I take the blower, the motor that is in my Roadrunner is coming out and probably going here. And my next motor build is going to be a turbocharged.
All right. Well, folks ask about you all the time, and he just showed up while we were shooting that video, so I thought I'd show you guys what he's working on, and glad he came by.
So thank you. But yeah, this is just Last time I took the car to the track, I broke the dry shaft, and I couldn't make a good pass, and it was a little popping somewhere. So I'm sure the either the spark plugs or the MSD, went south on me. So I'm gonna take it apart, find out, put a new dry shaft, go through the trans, and replace the rear end yoke. He broke that one, snapped that one too, and maybe I'll take it back out, or maybe I'll hurry up and get this one done.
I'm just glad I'm not the only one breaking stuff.
Yeah. Oh man.
I'm
Yeah.
a good company.
It's expensive, but the motor is still in shape, and it's putting 11 pounds of boost in it.
All right.
And some guy made a comment that he says that he went up to 15 pounds of boost on a stock 440 with a turbo on it, and that's when it hurt the block. So I still got 4 more pounds to go.
14. You've got 14 and you're good to go, right?
Yeah, if I go 14, I think I'll still be okay. But I'm not planning on that. I'm just gonna leave it like it is and go with a lighter car. Maybe put a brake on it.
Well, thanks for letting us bug you today. I just
No
saw you come
problem,
over
man.
here and
No problem.
thought we'd shoot a little quick video with you.
Yeah, thanks. Bye, I'll be back out.
You haven't seen the last of Ralph.